In the heart of the Mesopotamian pantheon, amid gods of creation, fertility, war, and love, one goddess ruled a realm darker, colder, and far more mysterious than any other. Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld, is a figure of immense power and complexity, embodying both the fearsome aspects of death and the necessary balance that death plays in the cycle of life. She was not only the ruler of a shadowy, eternal realm, but also a keeper of profound cosmic order, controlling the passage of souls from the land of the living into the afterlife. We will dive into the depths of Mesopotamian mythology and explore the queen of the underworld, Ereshkigal, filled with mysteries. We will examine the fascinating interpretations of this powerful goddess, who represents both fear and balance, along with her control over ancient beliefs in the underworld, in detail. Ereshkigal's origins are deeply entwined with the earliest moments of creation. She is the daughter of Inanna, the god of the moon, and Nergal, the goddess of reeds. As the sibling of Utu, the sun god, and Inanna, the goddess of love, beauty, and war, Ereshkigal's role in the divine family was somewhat peripheral, as her siblings were quickly celebrated in the heavens for their brilliance and power. While they found their places in the light, Ereshkigal's fate was to govern the dark realm beneath. The world of the gods was alive with energy, creation, and activity, sunlit realms of growth, love, and war. But beneath the earth, the space left untouched by the gods was empty, silent, and void. It was here that Ereshkigal's role as the ruler of the dead was born. Along with the other gods, she helped transform this dark realm into the underworld, a domain where the souls of the deceased would reside. This creation was not seen as a punishment for the dead, but as a necessary part of existence. Inanna and Utu might rule over the heavens and the earth, but Ereshkigal's domain was equally significant, for it ensured that the balance of life and death was upheld. Her name itself speaks volumes. Ereshkigal translates roughly to Queen of the Great Below, or Lady of the Great Place. The underworld, which was often referred to by names such as Kur, Yala, and Kuku, became her kingdom. The souls who entered this realm could not return, and their journey was guided by Ereshkigal with strict and absolute judgment. As the queen of the underworld, Ereshkigal was responsible for the souls of the dead. Upon their arrival, each soul was scrutinized, judged, and given a place within the underworld, according to its fate. Unlike other ancient mythologies, there was no grand judgment where a soul's actions in life determined its afterlife, but instead, each soul appeared before Ereshkigal to be pronounced dead, and its name would be recorded by the goddess Inanna. Her domain, the underworld, was vast, cold, and silent, a place where the living could not tread. Souls were given a shadowy, transpositional existence in the afterlife, which resembled their mortal lives, but was devoid of the pleasures and warmth of the world above. It was a place where life continued in a way, but all vitality had been drained. And while many believed that the souls of the dead wandered in silence, Ereshkigal ensured that the balance between life and death was maintained. If this balance were ever disrupted, the very fabric of the world would fall into chaos. Unlike the desolate underworlds of other mythologies, Ereshkigal's realm was not simply a place of horror. It was a place of order, a necessary space where each soul found its rightful place, and where the cyclical nature of existence was respected. Here, justice ruled supreme, and the cycle of life and death continued unbroken, ensuring that no soul could escape its fate. Ereshkigal's presence in the underworld was as commanding as the shadows that filled it. Descriptions of her are rare, but when she is depicted, she is often shown as a majestic and intimidating figure. Ereshkigal embodied both beauty and terror, with her appearance reflecting the duality of her domain. As the goddess of death, she was often represented naked, symbolizing the vulnerability that every mortal faces, born naked and judged naked after death. Her symbolic associations were equally profound. She was represented by wood, a symbol of decay and the impermanence of life. Wood reminded those who prayed to her that all life is fleeting, that we come into the world, grow, and eventually wither and die. Ereshkigal was also associated with a lioness, reflecting her fierce authority in the underworld. Her sacred stone was lapis lazuli, a precious blue stone, symbolizing her dominion over the shadows and the divine order. Ereshkigal's temple was guarded by 7 gates, each representing a challenge that the souls of the dead had to pass through before they could enter her realm. These gates were attended by her loyal servant, Namtar, and each gate was a symbol of the trials and tribulations that the dead would face on their journey. Ereshkigal's personal life, though largely separate from the affairs of the living, was no less complicated than her divine duties. She was married several times, but one of the most intriguing relationships was with Nergal, the god of war, plague, and storms. The story of their union is filled with drama, tension, and passion, a vivid representation of the dynamic between death and life, destruction and rebirth. Nergal and Ereshkigal's story begins with a conflict. Nergal, having offended Ereshkigal at a divine banquet, was sent to the underworld as punishment. However, the god's plan for Nergal to be punished by Ereshkigal took an unexpected turn. Ereshkigal, initially intent on punishing him, found herself captivated by Nergal's strength and presence. For 6 days, they were said to share a deep connection, which ultimately led to Nergal becoming the co-ruler of the underworld alongside Ereshkigal. This partnership was not one born out of affection alone, it was also a political alliance. Nergal, as a god of war and pestilence, embodied the harsh and destructive aspects of death, making him the perfect complement to Ereshkigal's more balanced and judicial role in the underworld. Together, they ruled over the dead, ensuring the continued cycle of life and death with their power and authority unchallenged by any other deity. One of the most famous myths involving Ereshkigal is the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld. Inanna, a powerful goddess of love, beauty, and war, embarks on a journey to the underworld, seeking to visit her sister, Ereshkigal. However, her journey quickly turns into a test of power, humility, and survival. Inanna arrives at the gates of the underworld, where she is ordered to strip herself of all her possessions, jewelry, and clothing, symbols of her power and beauty. By the time she reaches Ereshkigal's throne room, she is naked and defenseless. Ereshkigal, recognizing her sister's pride and selfishness, judges Inanna harshly, turning her into a rotting corpse and hanging her on the wall of her palace. But Inanna is not forgotten. Her attendant, Ninshubur, goes to the gods above for help, and with the help of 2 demons, Inanna is resurrected and allowed to return to the land of the living. However, Inanna's return is not without consequence. She must choose someone to take her place in the underworld, and in an act of sacrifice, her husband Dumuzi is chosen to be the one who suffers in her stead, spending 6 months of the year in the underworld. This myth reflects the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth that Ereshkigal governs. Though feared, Ereshkigal was also venerated. The ancient Mesopotamians understood the importance of keeping a harmonious relationship with the gods of the underworld, for it was through these gods that souls found their way to the afterlife. Rituals dedicated to Ereshkigal were designed to appease her and ensure a peaceful passage for the souls of the dead. These rituals included offerings of food, drink, and valuable items, gifts meant to sustain the dead in her realm and prevent them from returning as vengeful spirits. The Mesopotamians also prayed to Ereshkigal for mercy and protection. Prayers often sought her favor to ensure a peaceful afterlife, and protective spells were used to guard against the spirits of the underworld that could cause harm in the living world. Lamentation rituals performed by professional mourners were also a significant part of the practices surrounding death, offering comfort to both the deceased and their surviving family members. Ereshkigal stands as a powerful reminder of the inevitability of death and the necessary balance between life and death. She ruled the underworld with authority, ensuring that the cycle of existence continued unbroken. Her story, intertwined with themes of power, justice, and sacrifice, reflects the complexities of the human experience, the fear and reverence surrounding death, and the understanding that without death, there can be no life. Her legacy lives on in the ancient stories that speak of her strength, wisdom, and resilience. As both a ruler and a protector, Ereshkigal is a figure who continues to captivate and inspire, offering insights into the beliefs, fears, and hopes of the ancient Mesopotamians, and reminding us that death, though feared, is also an integral part of the cycle of life.